Good evening, everyone. I'm Rachel Smith, a NZIPP president. We're in the countdown now towards the New Zealand Photography Show in Christchurch this August and doing a series of interviews to get to know a little bit more about some of our fantastic speakers and workshop presenters. I'm really excited to be joined this evening with my good friend Mieke Boynton. Welcome, Mieke.
Thanks, Rachel.
And can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and the type of photography that you shoot?
So I'm Mieke Boynton. I live in Northeast Victoria. It's where I grew up. I've lived elsewhere all over the place, but moved back home and was lucky enough to meet my husband, Matt, who's an incredible photographer and also presenting at the NZ Photo Show. And I got to meet him and we fell in love and then we opened a gallery together. So we now have a landscape photography gallery in Bright in Northeast Victoria in Australia. And that's what my passion is, landscape and aerial photography.
So, touching on the aerial photography, um, what I mean, I've done a tiny bit, really love it. It's great for adrenaline. It's great for all sorts of challenges of learning new gear and stuff like that. But it's the visions, the things that you see within that beauty. I feel like that's something that you can talk about. I mean, I've got one of your
I did
images
see
behind
that.
me.
I think the thing is, so I was lucky enough that I was living in the Kimberley, and I lived in the Kimberley, which, if you don't know, it's the northwest corner of Australia, and it's vast and it's rugged and it's very Aboriginal infused. Like you can't go anywhere not registering that people have lived in this area for tens of thousands of years, and we're talking like, 60,000 years kind of epic situation. So even though it feels like it's the first time you've walked there, you can guarantee someone else has. And when I was up there, I people would come to where I lived to do aerial photography. And I'd find out about these things and I'd be like, "Oh, can I come with you? I'll pay half." So I got to do this amazing aerial photography up there, and it is one of the best areas for aerial photography around Broome. There's an area that is very shallow, and when the tide goes out, so they have 11-meter tides up there. When the tide goes out, you just see this incredible canvas of art underneath you. So it's got turquoise water and bright cyan, and it's got white sand and black sand, and the because it's normally completely underwater, and then the water goes out, it changes constantly. And photographing that, but that was my first real experience doing abstract aerial photography. There was one earlier experience, but that was on a workshop and I didn't know my settings and I came back with one photo. So being up there and having that opportunity just made me marvel at the earth. And not everywhere is great for aerial photography. Like where I live now, I haven't actually taken aerials. I think I've done two aerial shoots in the past 6 years or something like that. It's not the best for aerial photography because you kind of want natural interactions, but not so much trees. Like trees can be really difficult for aerials. You want like braided rivers or intertidal areas. A lot of it's water related, actually. But anyway, when you see that from the air, that's incredible. And a lot of those places, you actually can't really send your drone up because it's like too far from a place where you can stand with the drone. So it's quite special to get the opportunity to fly over it. Um, so yeah, did that even answer your question? I love it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's about the adventure and the unknown, but also you can you can frame it just to suit what you're seeing, what's inspiring you at that time.
Well, I
But
think
there's
that's,
speed as well. Like
yeah.
you're doing
So
it fast.
yeah, so I think what you're touching on is exactly right. You can have three photographers in an aircraft and you'll all come back with different things because a lot of, especially with abstract aerial photography, what you're drawn to, and as you say, it's like a split second. You don't have time to assess really. Especially if you're not particularly confident and to tell the pilot, oh, I missed that. Can you do another orbit? And especially if you're not very good at numbers and you can't say, well, I want you to fly at such and such a height. And I just say, I just say start at 1500 feet and then I go up a bit higher, go down a bit higher, turn left. Like, I'm not very technical at all. But yeah, if there's three different photographers, you're not going to get the same photographs because what you've got a split second and what you're attracted to is not going to be what everyone's attracted to. It's very much an intuitive thing. You don't have time to think. You're just responding.
I like that. I like that it's instinctive. That there's a split second, I guess, association or feeling with something, and you're photographing that. I guess if I was relating that to a people photographer, maybe that would be an event and an expression.
Yeah. I mean, I portrait photography terrifies me to be perfectly honest. But landscapes, I feel like there is there are good sides and bad sides, but even if you photograph the bad side well, no one's complaining.
So, a few years ago now, a photographer that has always inspired me said something about going on a landscape shoot with a preconceived idea and sitting in that place. And they had a system where they intentionally didn't take their camera out until they've sat there for 5 or 10 minutes and just let themselves be, to get a feeling of what I guess resonated with them in that environment. When you go to a place, a location that you may have researched or you may have just come across, do you have a sort of a system or something that you do before you actually start capturing images?
So I love that you have that description, and I read an article once about someone closing their eyes, and I keep saying to myself, you've got to do it. Because it is about the smell and it is about the sound, and I do think that when you connect with all your senses instead of just your eyes, then you're really part of it all, and you are going to, I think you're going to pick up a lot more than and just feel it. Like when you actually listen to the magpies and you smell the eucalyptus, like that's a whole different experience to just seeing trees. So I have promised myself that I'll do that, but I don't. I don't close my eyes because I feel embarrassed to close my eyes. But what I do is I don't whip out the camera straight away. I always walk around and whatever attracts me, I'll just go to it and move around it. And when I have decided to get my camera out, because I'll only really get the camera out if I think it's worth getting the camera out these days. Once I've got the camera out, then that's what I love is because you start with a composition and then you think, oh, well, actually, maybe a little bit to the left, or maybe step backwards a bit, or maybe a different lens, and then you just get into this space where you're really not even you're completely there and it's just you and the thing you're photographing, and there's no right or wrong. There's just, could it be better if this happened or this happened? And sometimes you can find half an hour's just gone. It
I
just
love that. Yeah, absolutely love that. Um, so I feel like when I look at your landscapes, there's a definite emotion that I can pick up that is being communicated within the captures that you're making. But landscape, it's very hard to take it from that chocolate box, for lack of a better phrase, representation or an ideal representation of something to something that can be translated to evoke emotion in a landscape. And I'm sure that you recognize that when you're judging categories and or critiquing images. So, is there any sort of advice you could give someone that was sort of wanting to try and avoid that? That's a really out of the blue
Wow.
question that I didn't prep you for.
Yeah, that's a
That's a
really
big one.
tricky question. I mean, you can tell, I know what you're saying. You can tell the difference if it's a photograph that shows the scene really beautifully, but you're not feeling it versus a photograph where it's not only photographed beautifully, but there's an emotion attached to it. Whoa, gosh, now I reckon that's like, you'd have to talk through like, I mean, I've got photographs where I feel like it's just a nice photograph. I can't say definitively that it was because I wasn't feeling it because I don't really know. Like I don't really record. I was really feeling it this day and I got some great shots or but I do think if you're not feeling it in the first place, you can't convey it. Tony Hewitt once said that, and I never forgot it because I do
Mm,
think if you're not excited, it's very difficult to convey any kind of feeling through a photograph. I think that's regardless of any genre of photograph. If you're not feeling it, it's very unlikely that the person seeing the photograph is going to feel it out of what wasn't there in the first place. So I think the first step is just having that connection. And it's the same, I think, with portraiture. I mean, I don't know because I don't do it, but I imagine that if you spend the time to connect with your subject, then it's highly likely the photographs from that shoot are going to be much more impactful photographs. And I think nature is the same. I don't think nature is void of feeling. I feel like when I go into nature, it has a presence. I sometimes touch the trees. I sometimes say thank you. Like it's a living. I think we underestimate nature, to be perfectly honest. So I feel like when you take the time to connect and you feel it, then it's hopefully going to come out in your photographs, but I don't think there's a magic special sauce that you can put on your photos to get them to have emotion in them. No.
yeah, I can resonate with that, and I think that the key word there was connection. Um, this is why I would make an absolutely awful wedding photographer because it's not something I usually enjoy attending. So I couldn't photograph it effectively.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, once you have that sense of place and that delight and yeah, connection, it hopefully shows through rather than just a factual documentation of something.
And I think the other thing is to ensure that you don't put pressure on yourself. Like, for example, if you're not a landscape photographer and you're just getting into it, just try and absorb the landscape. Firstly, get out at sunrise or sunset, not in the middle of the day, because the middle of the day light has no atmosphere. It's just meh. Like, unless it's foggy or unless there's clouds rolling in and there's thunderstorms or something, middle of the day photography, it's going to be hard to create any kind of connection. It just, like dawn. Oh my gosh, when the birds are waking up and you can smell it and the light is shifting and the warmth of the light and like it's all just happening. You're going to feel that. Same with sunset, when the light comes in and it's that golden light because it's close to the horizon and it's hitting granite, for example, and it's starting to go red. Well, yeah, you get excited because it doesn't look like that in the middle of the day.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. And I can see it when you talk about it. I can see it in your body language and your face. Yeah, it's really cool. But one of the things I love about what you guys do is that you have that constant passion for making images even in your downtime. When I was full-time photography and printing, I'd forget to pick the camera up on the weekends.
Oh,
And that's sad, eh? It's like
yeah.
it's not a hammer, but it's a hammer. It's a tool I use to do my job. So um having that passion still alive is pretty cool.
Well, I think if we're going to keep talking, I think that we decided early on that we both knew people for whom starting a business in photography had ruined their love of photography. And both of us are very passionate about photography. And neither of us can risk that. We love it so much. And so we do check in, we do make sure that we're not getting to the point where we don't love photography because I have nothing else. Like that's it's what I worked towards for so long to be a photographer. And now I am a photographer and I don't want to do anything else. Like I did lots of other things and I didn't really like doing all the other things and I want to protect this and it does mean that you do have to check in constantly and I think one of the things for me is going out bush, going out taking photos, seeing the light, chasing the fog, just being in the high country. I can breathe. I just I just feel the energy. And so even if I'm not taking great photos, just that experience is amazing. And there's nothing else in life that gives me that energy. And so I think I'd have to do some really drastic things to destroy that. But certainly you can, like it's possible to destroy that. But I think the only thing that would wreck that for me is working too hard, and that is a genuine concern. But I do have Matt to check in with, which is lovely, and he reminds me that when I have a day off, I shouldn't just be doing processing and taking photos. I should probably watch some television.
Go Netflix. Yeah, I think it's the desk time that killed it for me. And I don't even do that much editing, but it's a segue from that. And with what you're talking about, I'm thinking about what I love when I get out into nature and photograph and stuff. And it's the fact that you actually have no control whatsoever of what's there. You are working with what is given to you.
It's a dance. The way I talk about it, or the way I think about it, is you can do all the research, and it's important to do all the research. There's no point in landscape photography, you know it. There's no point going out in the middle of the day and hoping for great light. Like,
Yeah,
you're going to
that's
be very disappointed a lot of the time if that's all you're doing. So,
yeah.
you kind of got to watch the weather. I mean, I have an amazing weather app, which I'll talk about in my presentation, where I check in literally multiple times a day what the weather's doing the next day and where. Because if I do have a day off, then I'll be at the best weather situation. And if I've only got a morning and I've only got limited amount of time before the gallery opens, I'll be like, okay, well, I can only get to these places. Are any of these places showing weather that might make it conducive to photography? So that's all the planning. But then when you get there, just like what you're saying, you don't have any control. Like this morning is a perfect example. I went out, I was hoping for fog. I went out yesterday hoping for fog and there was no fog. I mean, there was little bits, but nothing in photogenic places. So this morning I went out and I was hoping for the fog. The fog didn't appear to be in any of the places that were photogenic. However, I went up a garden path and down a garden path and across sideways, and suddenly there was fog where there had been no fog. And I found a little shack that I'd never seen before, didn't know existed, got very excited because it's always exciting to find things in your own backyard that you didn't know were there. And that was me. Like that's my cup filled for the day.
That's perfect. And no expectations, no overreaching Instagram, must see this tree, must see this, do that, expectations based on other people's images. But yeah,
No, in fact, to be honest, I was if I thought about social media this morning, it was more to think about I'll just say it's one Wollongong so that no one goes hunting for because it's on a dirt road and I don't want it's like I don't want people to be impacted by lots of people going hunting. Yeah. It's more for me the think about social media is probably more about the protecting of sensitive places and the respect for the locals rather than, you know, how people are going to want to find, you know, what I've
Yeah,
photographed.
I can feel that one because like the penguin photo that I sent to you. That's in a very accessible location. And I don't tell people that I think are going to just randomly go there because those those creatures are pretty shy. They won't come up from the sea at the end of the day, things like that. It's
Yeah.
you yeah, it's not because you are protecting any IP of your own or anything like that.
No,
It's about respecting the place and the creatures that live there and the environment and
absolutely. And, you know,
yeah.
some people call it gatekeeping, but I say I've seen places that have been destroyed by photographers.
Hmm.
And if you respect a place, why would you risk it? You know, it's if it's a place that's can sustain lots of people, like if it's granite, and we have lots of granite. If it's
Mm,
granite, I'll tell everyone where it was because it's not sensitive, there's no issues. If it's a snow gum and it's near a hut, I'll say it's a snow gum near that hut.
mm.
I mean, it's all set up, like there's no issues. You can go explore to your heart's content. But if it's like what you're saying, if it's going to impact the wildlife, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah. And there's there's a really special thing about discovering beauty rather than trying to replicate it.
Do you know what? I think that's the thing most people miss is that, like, and I didn't even know that this ulterior way of thinking about things existed. Like, I never went hunting for specific photos. I missed that whole thing because I was living up in the Kimberley when I learned photography, and so I was not getting anywhere. So I wasn't really online that much. So I didn't really learn about the iconic locations much. I didn't have that checklist, you know. And then I found out that some people do, and I was like, but I mean, there's a difference between getting to an iconic location and going, oh my God, this is amazing, and I have to photograph it because it's so amazing, because you don't know that other people have photographed it and it is amazing, versus second option, getting to a place, it's amazing because it is, and going, I'm not going to photograph it because it's already been done to death. Boo-hoo, say I. No, like, enjoy it. It's amazing. Photograph it. Like, you haven't photographed it yet. Do it. Versus the third option, which I am very not okay with. I have to get an original photograph of this location. So I'm going to stomp all over the vegetation and climb barriers that I'm not supposed to and blah, 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 so that I can get the different shot that no one else has got before. And I say to that, no, that's not necessary. Like, iconic locations are iconic because they are amazing. Just get the amazing shot. Don't compare your amazing shot to everyone else's amazing shots. It doesn't matter. You got your amazing shot. You don't need to compare what you've got with everybody else. It's not necessary.
Exactly. And you run workshops, so you will see that all the time with groups of people and all standing in the same area, taking a photograph of the same thing, but there will be photos that stand out because someone has brought themselves into the image.
Yeah. Or you just take the image and learn from that experience because you're there and because it's beautiful. But then note with yourself, like, what am I actually drawn to here? And use that when you're in a location that's not iconic, and allow that to lead you. You know, like, I think in a workshop environment, if you go on a workshop and you're expecting to get show-stopping images, then probably you've got the wrong expectations out of a workshop. And that's a bit unfair to the workshop leader, to be perfectly honest. But you can learn a lot from amazing workshop leaders, which I did. You know, I went on some fantastic workshops with Ignacio Palacios, with Hogard Milan. I've been with some incredible landscape photographers and learned a lot from them, but I never had an expectation to get like an original shot of a place that we were going, if that makes sense.
100%. So when I look at your work, not all of your work, but like some of your work, especially around your local region and stuff, there's there's a really special feeling, attachment that comes through in all of these images. And I think that it's, I'm not going to say it's easy because it's hard to take a good image regardless, but it's always exciting to take an image of something that you see as new, but in your own backyard to create something that has that level of emotion and connection and is still unique to your vision. I think that's pretty special. Is there, you got a secret recipe?
I do not. And all I can say is I would love, like, probably probably the thing I strive for the most is to get a local photo that is iconic, that stands out, that is maybe even award worthy. And I think I haven't well, I know I haven't got it yet. I haven't got the shot that I'll look at and go, yeah, that's the Vic High Country and it's me. And I haven't got it yet. And I think that like really pushes me to get out more often. But I don't mind if it's not for another 25 years. Like I don't need it to happen tomorrow. And in fact, it's probably a good thing that I don't have the shot because I do love going out in our local area. And like we've said already, just discovering things. This year I started to go a little bit more off-road on four-wheel drive tracks because I've got a four-wheel drive and why wouldn't I? And I hadn't done it because like I don't know, I used to do it up in the Kimberley, but I just haven't really done it around here. And I've discovered some amazing things in the past few months. Like didn't even, was a bit naughty probably and went off track without like telling anybody and just kind of winged it. But nothing happened. It was all good. But that's the kind of stuff that is joyous. I didn't even know they existed, so I don't know, I don't know I don't have any photos in my head from those locations. Like it's completely unknown. And I think that's the thing. We're so lucky. In New Zealand, I think there are places just like there are here in Northeast Victoria where you're on the map, but it's not well mapped, if that makes sense.
Mm,
Like there are iconic locations, yes, and you go back there because they're amazing. And, like we've got the cathedral, it's an incredible tumble jumble of rocks, and it's amazing to go there. But exploring is the best thing. Like exploring is fun. That's the joy.
yeah, I totally get that. So, slight slight sideways note on photography and exploring. Do you do all of these explorations on your own, or is Matt with you? I'm a massive chicken, and so I do explore a lot, but I also have that whole, yeah, big chicken girl thing.
So it's an excellent question. When Matt and I are photographing together, I love photographing with Matt. Like I would choose to photograph with him whenever I have the choice. But he's a bit of a night owl and I'm a bit of an early bird. So that is a bit tricky. So when we go on holidays, we do photography together. But here locally, often I'm going out by myself. And because I lived in the Kimberley for almost 10 years and I didn't have a mat, I just got brave. There was no choice. The first year that I was up there, I popped 7 tires
Wow,
because I didn't know that on gravel roads you need to go 80 k's an hour and in some places 40 k's an hour. And up in the
reduce your
Kimberley,
pressure.
if you're a girl, they'll put a tube in your tire that comes from a place that doesn't cater for 40-degree plus temperatures, and they just literally blow up and shred the tire from the inside. And you have to not only buy a new tube, but a new tire, which got very expensive. And then when someone explained to me what was going on, I was like, ah, that makes a lot of sense. Now I will drive slowly and I will check that the brand of tube that they're putting in my tire is actually a good one for hot temperatures.
The buggers.
I know. I know the things you learn. It was an expensive thing, but at the time I had a well-paying job, so it didn't send me broke. But
Yeah.
yeah,
But
you learn some things the hard way. But you know what, Rachel, I just loved my parents bought my mum and John bought me a swag for my birthday one year, and it was a tent swag. And unfortunately, I didn't know that you had to wet it first to make it watertight. Like you actually are supposed to wet it and then it expands and then it's good forever. No, it got wet the first time in torrential rain when I was in it and it filled up from the bottom and I put my feet either side of the mattress and it was a river inside my tent swag. So these are the things that I learned, but once you learn it, you go, "Oh, it's not so hard."
and
You and me, we should go. We should do some stuff together.
oh my God, yes, please. Yeah.
It's really not that big of a deal. Once you've done it
Yeah.
once, you can do it 1,000 times.
Oh, what about all of the things in the Australian outback that can kill you by looking at you all the
No, that look, tent swags have a zip, a very good zip. You zip it up and there's nothing getting in. Actually, the cool thing about a tent swag is it's got a canvas cover. You roll that down and then you roll up your mozzie netting and zip it all up. So nothing can get in, but you can see the stars.
Yeah, I love that.
It's amazing. I miss
I'm gonna have to research what a tent swag is. It sounds like a bivy bag. That's
it's like a body bag, but
yeah,
you
yeah, that's what we
but
call a
it's
bivy bag.
canvas and you actually
Yeah,
just tie the top bit to your bull bar of your four-wheel drive and so it stays off your face and yeah, the mattress is about 4 centimeters thick. It's very comfy.
that sounds a bit like
Maybe comfier for a 30-year-old than a 45-year-old, but
but about a 50-year-old. Who said that?
yeah, no one.
Oh, that sounds like a grand adventure. I'd absolutely be in for that.
Good.
Mieke, you have been one of our fantastic Iris Awards judges in the past, and you're going to be speaking and presenting at the New Zealand Photography Show this year for your first time.
Yep. Yes, I'm very excited. It's a huge honor, firstly. Judging is a huge honor, but being asked to present is something both Matt and I are very excited about. I can't wait to hear everybody else's presentations. I'm a bit nervous about my own, but only because just that's I think anytime you have people wanting to learn from you, that's just an experience where you can't take for granted and you really need to give it full focus. I'm very excited about my presentations, but I'm also excited to learn from I can't even tell. Like I've been watching all of the summaries come up, and I'm really looking forward to listening to those presentations. But for me, I'm really excited for my two presentations. One of them's on black and white photography, which I love. I haven't done. I haven't. I've loved black and white photography forever, but when I lived up in the Kimberley, the colors were what it was all about. And so I kind of put that on hold. But now that I'm in Northeast Victoria and we get fog and all the rest of it, I really connect with black and white photography because it's all about texture and emotion and it's not simple, but I actually think that there's just a couple of things if you know them, your black and whites can be a lot more high impact. And then the other presentation is about landscape photography. And I think you already know how much I love landscape photography. So I'm excited to share what I know with everyone.
I
It's
love
very
that. And
practical.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be so good. I think we've done lots. I think that we've got lots. Thank you so much, Mika, for your time. Yeah, say hi to
No,
Matt for
thank
me.
you. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.